Okay, I was going to just record a short, but there's just too much to say. Can you guys see the river? And down at the river, the Jordan River, I don't know if you can see it flowing back there, but maybe you can hear it. But anyway, I'm gonna sit with it, talk about this impending eclipse, solar eclipse in Aries, and the significance that it has in our reality, our collective reality, our individual reality, and why we should pay attention to it in as practical and brief a manner as I can, because Neptune, the ruler of Pisces and all things very spiritual and vague and sensitive, Neptune's moving out of Pisces with this coming eclipse into Aries. So that means our spiritual nature is doing a major evolutionary leap. And we are no longer going to be steeped in the sensitive, spiritual, ethereal realm of Neptune's home sign of Pisces. So Neptune, that rules our spirit, is taking warrior, like going to warrior school. And it's funny because at the same time that this is happening, this very transit, for me, this exact thing is happening in my reality, where I'm sending my son, it feels like, off to war, but it's spiritual war, going as an almost 12-year-old boy to live with his dad for a bit, which has not occurred since he was a baby. So this is very real to me in what Neptune is doing and how this eclipse is eclipsing. It's closing out with this lunar, full total lunar eclipse we just had in Pisces. I mean in Virgo, but Pisces, Virgo axis. So eclipsing, ending, and now beginning in Aries, a new story, a new chapter. And I watched the Leo King as my astrologer. He gets very deep and was talking about the time of the hippie spirituality is over, that it's more like warrior spirit now, and not so much war necessarily and bloodshed as we think of it, but it's war nonetheless. And it's a spiritual warfare that we are truly moving into, where it's important to have our spiritual wits about us, and it's important to not floofily talk our way through apologetically, sensitively anymore, moving through this cycle. So now we're moving into the blunt speaking Aries, which is a powerful initiatory energy, since Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. So our spiritual nature, Neptune, is going through a spiritual initiation into a new house, into a new zodiac, all together, a whole new cycle. Aries, the beginning, the fool of the tarot, the risk taker. And then the river flows, right? Pisces, that river, we have been swimming in it now since 2012. Which is, the year that I met my son's father. And so it's very poignant and interesting to me, that river that we got thrown into, that spiritual river. And how now it's like coming up onto the shore with all the wisdom learned in our spiritual nature the last 12, 13 years in Pisces. And now what are we going to do with it? What are we building? What are we fighting for? What are we standing up for? Where's, Aries isn't the voice, but it is an activation. It is, again, it's initiatory. It's a beginning. And it feels very, very different than Pisces, right? Pisces is water. Aries is fire. It's the alchemy that I've been talking about, these incineration, where you choose to consciously leave behind some of those deep, sensitive, spiritual sensitivities in favor of the new world that is showing itself to be worth investing in, worth investing time, energy in, and the importance of the warrior nature. You know, for me, I've been raising boys as a single mom most of their lives, and I see the necessity of my son right now, getting ready to turn 12, having a masculine influence that is teaching him to be that Aries warrior. And his father is a great person for that. And so for me, that's trusting that part of this new world looks like that. And I get to be a spiritual warrior in a different way and be strong and hold the space that this initiation is important. So that's my story. I don't know what your story is, but I know you have one. And one thing that can be helpful, I've found in initiatory transition points in life, which definitely eclipses are, but definitely with this transit of Neptune out of its home sign into Aries, this is a big deal. And just like we just had Pluto move into Aquarius out of Capricorn, that was a big deal. So we're stacking these outer planets in new places, right? We're going into uncharted territory. We haven't been in these places in this lifetime. So it is poignant to write the story, even in brief, like a eulogy. I know that sounds a bit grim, but there's something about Neptune in Pisces that is the funeral, that is the death process. And as that moves away, we are rebirthed with Aries. And so to write the eulogy of the old reality we've been traversing and honor it like you would a funeral. Whether there's someone that's passed or not, something has passed away for you. Persons, a life, a reality, a knowing, a situation, a way of being, the old you, the old stories, that all wants to be recorded and honored in some way. So think of it like a funeral, and you have a program and people talk and they summarize this person's life in honor of them. You know, like my father passed in August of 2024, and the funeral was beautiful and it brings closure. And we had the salute, the whatever you call it, the gun salute for the those who've served, and all of that served my consciousness in being able to let my father go to his next thing and being able to release that from my life. Like a funeral has that purpose. So any ceremony we do in this way, it facilitates our consciousness transforming. And that's why it's good to not just be like, oh yeah, well, I dealt with that. I realize I have to let it go. And that's not enough for your psyche to let it go. Ceremony and, like for my son, rites of passage, things that make you go on a journey, make you face things. That's like a vision quest. I did the same thing for my other boy when he was 12. He went and spent his first summer away from me with his dad. And I had the pleasure of raising them both pretty much on my own, and they've learned how to be very sensitive, nurturing young men. But the other side is what the masculine offers that a woman really cannot teach. So we can be great single moms, but a woman cannot teach a man to be a man. We can give him sensitivity principles that he can be a better man when he learns the man skills, but the warrior nature comes from the masculine. And so rites of passage ceremonies for young men, I think, are highly missing in our society, and why I choose to do what I do with my boys. You know, you need to learn these skills from a man. You need to be in the world where you have to toughen up and you can't just come crying to mom. Bless your heart, as much as I love to hug you and all that. So that's a rite of passage. A marriage is a rite of passage. You're moving from singlehood, everyone's witnessing you, and now you're not. That whole ceremony locks it in for everybody in our psyche, right? A blessing way for a woman, or a bridal shower tries to have a similar thing where you're moving from I've never had a child before into having a child and everyone recognizing you as mother, and that is a rite of passage ceremony. So right now we're in a silent rite of passage ceremony for the old world, and these eclipses are telling you, and even in Indian lore they're like, eclipses are worth 1,000 times, guys. It's this 2-week period, and into this eclipse on Saturday, this has been a 2-week funeral rite of passage ceremony for the old world. and the way your spirit's been functioning. And it is an evolution of your soul's consciousness and your spiritual nature right now, but most people don't know it. And so this is my offering to you. If you choose, make it sacred right now. Do something, light a candle, write a little eulogy to your old self, honor it, get out some old pictures, you know, wear black or whatever you want to do. Make a special, you know, altar or thing that is honoring of that time. And then just like you would with a funeral, when that ceremony is over, that honoring is over, and maybe you need a 3-day period for that. Maybe you need now into the eclipse. Whatever you need. Some cultures, they go for a very long time in mourning. But, you know, it's a closure, but it's also a birthing time. So after the ceremony and the honoring, allow yourself to begin to behave as if you are on the other side of it. And it is now a new life, because it is. Neptune moving into Aries, the sun in Aries, the symbol of new life with the equinox and spring. Even if you're in the southern hemisphere, you can feel this energy as well, this renewing. So take the invitation for renewal, accept the rebirth that's happening right now, and behave accordingly as you move forward. And this will bless your life. This will be amazing for humanity. And, you know, it may be some challenging things around us and even in our families and our homes as this death and rebirth, it takes effect. And a lot of people who don't realize that's what's happening and try too much to cling to the old and haven't accepted and honored, we will be dealing with that. But that's where our spiritual warrior nature needs to come in and take practical steps to assist the people in our life in moving forward, whether that's carrying stuff for them, groceries to their house, or checking in on them, sending a message, or, you know, bringing them a meal, or whatever we see they could need. It's the spiritual action. It's the service right now, the initiation of that. That's going to be like, that's the sainthood. That's where you show up as the saint right now, as the spiritual warrior, bringing truth into the real world in real ways. Thanks for joining me today. This is Stasia from the river. Remember, this is a potent time. Much love to you. Namaste.